Hello, welcome all. My dear students, I'm going to talk about Advanced C programming, our subject. In this subject, we are going to learn these five major units, namely pointers, structures, unions, file handling, and preprocessors. We'll see all these units with their marking scheme, what to learn in that unit, with its key points and some introductory part. In your university exams, what kind of questions of how much marks will be possible on each units and subunits of all these topics? We are going to see in detail, hence more. Pointers. Pointers are the variables which stores address of another variable. This is what the definition of the concept pointers. Pointers which are meant for pointing to another variable. That's why the name is given as pointers. How they are declared? What operators used in pointers? Mainly, three operators are used in case of pointers concept. One is at address operator, that is ampersand symbol. Second, asterisk symbol, its technical name as member reference operator. And the third one, member indirectional operator with arrow symbol, which is not inbuilt on the keyboard, but we are going to design it with the help of minus, that is subtraction operator, minus sign, and greater than sign. By pressing both the keys, we are going to draw this operator while coding the pointers concepts in C programming. The use of pointers is basically in handling the memory, as it stores the address of another variable, so it mainly handle or manage the memory concepts. That's why pointers are more and more important in case of memory management systems and memory handling concepts. In further your years, that is in SY and TY, when you're studying in detail the data structure, in that the basic knowledge about the pointers should be required mandatorily to understand the concepts of data structure and memory handling. The next point within pointers concept is call by value and call by reference. This question can be asked either theoretical or practical manner. In case of theoretical, it can be straightforward asked as the differentiate between call by value and call by reference. How and in what manner pointers are used in case of coding in C programming with the help of reference operator, that is at address and member directional operator. Or else, even on this concept, we are going to expect the practical question that certain kind of 4 marks or 3 marks program to write in C while using the concept of call by reference and functions for the use of or implementation of pointer concepts of call by reference for swapping two values, adding two values to integer numbers, etc. Next point of our discussion is in what manner pointer arithmetic can be done, how pointer arithmetic can be possible, how it will not add the plus 1 or minus 1 in case of increment and decrement operator, but how it can increment the next memory location and it can locate the previous memory location by increment and decrement operators, that is plus plus and minus minus, with all their subtypes, prefix, pre-increment, post-increment, and pre-decrement and post-decrement as well. Now, the next theoretical question in case of this unit is types of pointers. Basically, there are 8 types of pointers, namely null pointer, generic pointer, wild pointer, far pointer, near pointer, huge pointer, and dangling pointer. The names of the types of individual pointer is given as per their working. That is, for example, null pointer is pointing to the null area or the variable which is having value null. Null is not 0, but null is a technical value which says technical value, that is null. Second is generic pointer, that is in general pointer. Third one is wild pointer, far pointer, near pointer, and huge pointer. Within those 4 types, basically near and far are the basic 2 types, with the concept of, as their name suggests, near means it accessible the nearby memory depending on the 32-bit of processor, and far is far pointer which is handling or which is pointing to the variable far away from the memory area, either it is from RAM, ROM, or cache memory or temporary memory or any available space where the 64-bit memory processor can be possible with the help of far range of accessibility of the pointers. So far and near are again widely used in case of further 128-bit processor, that is wide and huge. So far is included part of huge pointer and wild pointer as well. And the last but not the least, that is dangling pointer. Dangling pointer is the concept where one pointer is pointing to more than one variables, one after the other, or simultaneously sometimes. Then that times pointer or processor may confuse that to whom should the pointer is pointing to. That is the previous variable or the next variable or the current variable. That's why it is dangled. Hence the name is given as dangling pointer. And the next point is usage of pointer in each concept as a demo examples in pointing and accessing memory in actual practice by writing different C programming codes with the help of all the above mentioned concepts within pointer units. Next point of our discussion is the next unit, which is much more important with respect to data structure paper as well, that is structure. Now, structure is what? It is a collection of already predefined data types, members, or elements within one user defined new data type. This is technically defined as or called as or termed as structure. Now, structure is going to help to create user defined data type newly with the help of primitive or basic data types by including number of variables, number of elements under one name, which starts with the keyword struct. So its syntax and example can be asked for 2 to 4 marks as well. Definition can be asked for 2 marks. Then, which are the member access operators used in case of structure concept? There are basically two operators can be used. One is dot operator and the other one is, which is we have seen previously, that is third one, member indirectional operator, which can be shown as arrow. So indirectly it is pointing. That's why it is called as member indirectional operator. So dot operator and member indirectional operator, both the operators are used in case of structure. While using plain, we are using dot operator, and while using pointers within structure, we are using this member indirectional operator. Its demo example codes for usage of structure and accessing of its members. And the last point, pointers used in accessing the structure, how the arrow operator or member indirectional operator can be used in case of structure concept with the help of pointers. Now, the third point or third unit, major unit, one more, that is called as union. Union is similar to structure but only with the hairline difference within structure and union, as structure has allocating each element separate memory, whereas union shares the memory amongst the largest member within the union, which starts with the keyword union. So its definition is also similar like structure. It is also a combination of or collection of different basic data types elements within one name or under the one name with the starting keyword union and union name, which defines user defined data type as and when required for the situation while developing any problem statement. So its syntax and example can be asked. Its definition can be asked either for 2 to 4 marks. Then here also we can use two operators in case of union. One is dot operator when we are using plain union or direct union concept, and when we are introducing or including pointer concept within union, then we are using again this member indirectional operator, which is symbolically presented by the arrow operator. Then its demo code for use of union and its accessing the members. Even one more theoretical direct question can be possible on structure and union is differentiate between structures and union. So there are some basic differences between structure and union, though they look similar or though they act similar, but with some differences, though they having similarities more but differences are less, but still those differences act more powerful to differentiate both the terms individually. Then pointers used in accessing the union, how it can be used, when to be used, in what manner to be used, that can be explained with the help of its demo codes. Next, a small part of advanced C programming, that is enumeration. Enumeration is also one more type of user defined data type, which is nothing but collection of or set of different data elements under one name starting with the keyword enum. Enumeration, that is electronically numbered. That's why that keyword stands for enum. It is a single whole word. It can be asked as a definition. Its syntax and example can be asked for 2 to 4 marks, and some of the demo code used for usage of enum. Next, major unit within advanced C programming is string handling functions. Basically, within this topic, we are going to see in detail what is string means, its definition, that is set of characters or an array of characters. Then, what kind of format specifier used in accessing the string as a data type, that is %s. S stands for string. How the strings are stored and accesses in and out from an array in case of doing C programs. So if I want to write this line of words, that is welcome to C, which has two blank spaces in between three words, and lastly the whole line ends with the slash and zero stands for null character. So technically this character where the mouse pointer is pointing now, that is termed as, or that is called as, null character. So slash 0, that is symbolically presented like this, forwarded slash, and 0 is called as null character, which is end of string. Generally, while we writing Marathi or English, we give full stop, right? So that full stop stands, or it understood by us that here the line ends or the sentence ends, whereas technically processor understands the full stop with the help of null character, especially in case of strings. That is, it always at the end of the sentence or line of words and not in between anywhere. So in between spaces are called as white spaces or blank spaces or empty spaces, which we are separating with the help of space bar while typing the words or typing the sentences, which is collection of words. Then every character block is of 1 byte in size of memory, because characters holds 1 byte of memory for char data type in C programming. So that's why this note point is very much important. That is, every character block is of 1 byte. So one character stands or holds 1 byte of memory. So if we want to calculate this memory, how much it is required, if we count this word length or sentence length, that is set of characters including null character, total size of memory will be allocated by the processor when we create char, array name, and array size. Clear? Then string handling functions are, there are basically two types in functions. One is predefined or inbuilt functions, and other one is which user can newly define it. So in case of some inbuilt predefined string handling functions, which are ready-made available for us while doing the C programming, and those are mentioned or those are already defined within header file with the name string.h, which we have to include for using any of these inbuilt string functions, which we are going to see on the next slide. For the for those ready-made usage of those functions, we are going to include with the hash include statement string.h header file simultaneously with the help of stdio.h as well. So string handling functions which are commonly used by us, ready to use or ready made in string.h are, some of the examples are strcpy. Every almost 99% string handling functions which are predefined or inbuilt or which are ready made to use, those are starting with the keyword or with the letters str. So once we are using str, then we have to understand that these are ready-made functions and we have to include for it string.h header file in the starting of the C program. So str stands for string and cpy stands for copy. So string handling functions which are ready to use or ready-made available for us, or inbuilt functions or predefined functions which are there in string.h header file, that are always combination of two words. That is, one is string short form str and the other one word which is having the actual functional criteria, that is cpy stands for copy, cmp stands for compare, then len stands for shortcut word of length, len gth, and rev stands for reverse. Apart from this, these are most commonly used, that is 99% almost, 99 to 100%. But other than this also, there are not only these 4 to 5 functions, but there are lots of functions ready to use available for us in string.h header file. Out of this, we are going to discuss these 4 shortly, briefly. This function copies one string into another, that is strcpy, copy function. So string 1 is suppose hello and string 2 is welcome. Then answer after strcpy function usage will be hello, one space, and at the last of first string, the next string will be get appended or get added and copied, and the whole string as str1 will be clearly mentioned or clearly stored. This manner the strcpy will work out. Similarly, strcmp function compares two strings and returns boolean 1, that is true, if both are exact, same and equal strings. For example, str1 is hello and str2 is welcome. Now by looking to both the strings, we can easily say that str1 is not same as str2. Then answer after strcmp will return boolean 0, that is boolean false. And if str1 is hello and str2 is also hello, then after the use of strcmp, this function will return boolean 1, that is for boolean true value. Means both the strings are equal, exact and same length. Then because it compares one by one letter within the string. So character by character it compares both the strings and returns its boolean true or false value. The next commonly used string handling inbuilt function is strlen. This function calculates length of the given or inputted string and returns its integer numbers by counting the characters between the whole string, including in between white and blank spaces as well. For example, here I have shown you one array, that is set of characters, that is string. If we do strlen on hello, one space, I have given two spaces here, welcome word, which both the strings or both the words separated with white blank spaces and both are inverted into double quotes, then this will return 15 characters, 15 integer number by counting all these letters character by character, 1 byte of size of memory each. strrev. REV stands for shortcut word of reverse and str is a shortcut word of string. So strrev function reverse the strings. This function reverse the string from the last character to the first character. That is, for example, if we do strrev on hello world, then it will return as reverse of the given string. That is, last letter is first, then second last, then third last, then fourth last, and then fifth last, and so on. Likewise, all these functions are used while using ready-made string handling functions which are there mentioned in string.h header file. Remember here, students, that string is set of characters, so we have to include each string in double quotes only. Whereas in C programming, character is always included in single quote. Single character, single quote. More than one character, that is string, always included in double quotation mark or double quotes. So everywhere you can see the strings are included in double quotes. Then the next or the last major unit within advanced C programming is preprocessors. Preprocessors are the preprocessed libraries or tools that processes the source code before it's compiled by the compiler. So up till now you have used #include several times, multiple times while doing each and every C program from basic till now, from first sem till second sem in. So in every C program, the very first initial line you write that #include angular bracket opening stdio.h angular bracket close. So this line stands for preprocessors. Those are directives which gives us the directions to the compiler in what manner in top to down approach that compiler has to process the whole user defined program, that is the main function module. So these preprocessors are having basic 4 categories or basic 4 types of preprocessors. One is macro substitution division. That is, those are also called as in shortcut or in simple words macros. Then file inclusion division and compiler control division. And the last one is other preprocessors, fourth type. Whereas we'll see one by one in detail. Macro stands for #include, #define stands for macro, which starts with hash and if define, if not define, if and def, all are attached letters. Those are not separated with spaces. Within this all macros, #include stands for file inclusion, that is this is second type. Then #define stands for macro define, that is macro whichever line we are going to expand it in one single line or which can be written in shortcut in one single line, which can be further expanded as and when required in throughout the program at several times, then those macros are used with #define concept, which are going to newly define the things by user. That's why it is called as macro definitions. Among this, #undef, #ifdef, and #if not defined. If macro defined, if macro not defined, and undefined. All these things are used in case of macro substitution division. Then file inclusion division includes #include stdio.h, #include string.h, #include math.h, #include conio.h, that is console.io.h, etc. So all these files which we are going to include in case of file inclusion division, it also again have further two types. that we are going to see in our upcoming next slides in detail its explanation. Then file inclusion division also has some several concepts of compiler control divisions. So the third type includes hash if, hash elif, that is else and if combiningly together, which stands for else if ladder control structure. Hash else means simple if else block. Hash endif to close the if block, endif. Basically, these are used in case of previous programming language previous than C language, which are BASIC, Fortran, FoxPro, etc. At our graduation stage, we are using these kind of file inclusion division, then compiler control divisions, macro substitution, etc. things in case of FoxPro and all such languages. FoxPro, then Fortran, which are basic from or basic to C or previous to C invented. There we have used this. Now you are going to see in detail while writing any control structure in C programming. If you remember in SEM 1 and even in SEM 2, while writing the codes, when we are using if blocks, while, for block, we are opening the curly bracket and we are closing the curly bracket. So in previous languages, that is Fortran and Basic, we have not that included those symbols of curly brackets. That's why we are going to use these kind of compiler control divisions. So this includes if, else, end if, etc. Then compiler control division also stands somewhere hash line, hash error, and hash pragma. Pragma and error mostly included in other types of preprocessor directives. Hash line sets the line number, abort compilation, set compiler option. For example, file handling, to move the file pointer, we are going to use these kind of different things in error handling of file. Then different kinds of line of controls to set the particular line to be compiled by the processor or by the compiler. We are using these kind of things. Some example codes in all four major types of preprocessor directives. One is macro expansion. In macro expansion, we can specify two types of macros, with arguments and without arguments. We can also pass arguments to macros. It can be described with arguments that perform similarly as functions. Its syntax: hash define name substitute text, where name stands for we can define the macro template. Replacement text, we can define it as macro expansion. To write a macro name, we need to use capital letters. For better readability, we can define suitable names on criteria certain macros. To modify the program, we can change only the macro and it can reflect on the program. Hence, we do not need to change it every time. Now, if we remember while learning, I already told you that the macros are similar like functions. So why to use macros? Because functions are set of instructions or block of instructions or a subprogram which can be written other than main. No doubt we can use functions or we can call the functions multiple times. But in some situations, in case of major larger programs or scientific programs or video games, puzzles, etc., while developing the softwares, once C is using, at that moment, every time function calling, function definition execution makes the processor with lots of burden or with lots of pressure. Hence, to remove that load on the processor or compiler, we are expanding the macro templates with macro expansion in one single line. Hence, macros are used other than functions as well sometimes at some suitable situations. So there are some basic macro examples. Here I have defined with hash define print lower void main. So print lower I am using the same as macro template. Its expanded value will be 50. So in case of loop, this will stands for 1 to 50 times. This will work out and it will print the value of j. Similarly, while passing the arguments to the macro, which we have discussed in earlier this concept, its example is like this. If we want to calculate area with this formula, we can use this concept of here as and when many times we can require. So there are some examples of pragma directives as well with its output, how it can be used. So thank you. This concludes all the 5 topics with all its marking scheme and major points to learn while studying. So anytime if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask any questions. Thank you. Good luck.